The 1970s had some of the best television. However, it did also have its share of flops. 1971 was a year of bell-bottoms, Vietnam protest, and truly baffling television decisions. The networks were convinced they had the next big thing, but they couldn't have been more wrong. Today, we're digging up 10 forgotten TV shows from 1971 that bombed so badly, even reruns wouldn't touch them. These were spectacular failures, shows that had big stars, wild premises, and even wilder expectations, but they vanished almost overnight. So, let's dive in as we explore TV's graveyard of 1971. Number 10. Make Your Own Kind of Music. We're starting our countdown with a show that proves even the hottest musical act in America can't guarantee TV success. Make Your Own Kind of Music premiered on NBC July the 20th of 1971 with the Carpenters as hosts. The show featured Karen and Richard Carpenter alongside Al Hurt, Mark Lindsay, and the comedy team of Tom Patchett and Jay Tarsis. Guest stars included Herb Alpert, Jose Feliciano, and Helen Reddy. The gimmick? Each episode worked through the alphabet, starting with A as for Alpert and ending with Z. Creative, right? Well, it turns out America preferred their Carpenters on vinyl, not primetime. After just 8 weeks and 8 episodes, NBC quietly shelved it. Rumor has it that Richard Carpenter has kept those episodes locked away ever since. Number 9. The Funny Side. Moving on to number 9, we have a concept that sounds brilliant on paper, but crashed. The Funny Side starred Gene Kelly. Yes, the dancing legend himself, hosting a sketch comedy show that examined the funny side of marriage. Premiering September the 14th of 1971, each week featured 5 stereotype couples: young, elderly, blue-collar, white-collar, and African-American, all tackling topics like health, money, and sex. But here's what went wrong. Audiences weren't ready for Kelly's transition from movie musicals to TV comedy. The sketches felt dated even by 1971 standards, and the stereotype-based humor was already becoming problematic. One episode actually featured John Amos imagining himself as Captain Afro, something that would never make it on air today. The show received poor Nielsen ratings and was canceled December the 7th after just 13 episodes. If you're enjoying this trip so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Trust me, we've got 8 more disasters ahead, and you won't want to miss what comes next. Number 8. The Good Life.
Oh, the good life.
At number 8, we have The Good Life, starring Larry Hagman and Donna Mills as a middle-class couple who decide to pose as servants for a wealthy industrialist so they can sample the finer things in life. The show premiered September the 18th of 1971. It had all the ingredients for success: attractive leads, physical comedy, and the classic fish-out-of-water setup that had worked for shows like the Beverly Hillbillies. The series never found its footing, struggling with identity issues between slapstick comedy and social commentary. After 15 episodes, NBC pulled the plug on January the 8th of 1972 and replaced it with a little show called Emergency, which became a massive hit. Talk about bad timing. The ironic twist? A decade later, Hagman and Mills reunited when he guest starred on Knots Landing, where Mills was a series regular. Both had learned to navigate TV success by then. Number 7. The Partners. Coming in at number 7 is The Partners, and this one really stings because it had so much potential. Don Adams was fresh off the massive success of Get Smart when he created this cop comedy about 2 bumbling detectives, one white, played by Adams, and one black, played by Rupert Cross. The supporting cast included John Doucette as their exasperated captain and Dick Van Patten as the smarmy desk sergeant. Adams' real-life cousin, Robert Carvelis, played Freddie Butler, who compulsively confessed to crimes he didn't commit. The show premiered September the 18th of 1971, and despite testing highest among all NBC shows that year, it was crushed in the ratings. Why? Because NBC scheduled it directly opposite of All in the Family, the #1 show on television. NBC had originally planned to put it against My Three Sons, but CBS switched All in the Family to that time slot at the last minute. After 20 episodes, The Partners was canceled on January the 8th of 1972. Talk about rotten luck. Number 6, Bearcats. At number 6, we have Bearcats, CBS's attempt at a stylish action-adventure series that should have been a hit. Set in 1914, the show starred Rod Taylor and Dennis Cole as Hank Brackett and Johnny Reach, two troubleshooters for hire roaming the American Southwest in their gorgeous yellow Stutz Bearcat automobile. The show had everything going for it: movie star Rod Taylor, period charm, and that absolutely stunning Stutz Bearcat. Fun fact, those were actually two custom replicas built by Hollywood car customizer George Barris that cost $25,000 for the pair. To put that in perspective, a brand new Corvette cost about $5,000 in 1971. The pilot movie Powder Keg was so good it was released theatrically overseas. The show premiered September the 16th of 1971 and limped along until December the 30th, just 13 episodes. Now here's the final insult. When CBS canceled Bearcats, they replaced it with Me and the Chimp, widely considered one of the worst sitcoms ever made. Number 5, the Chicago Teddy Bears. We're at the halfway point of our countdown with the Chicago Teddy Bears, a show that tried to mine comedy from one of the most violent eras in American history. Set during Prohibition in Chicago, the show starred Dean Jones as Link McRae, who runs a speakeasy with his Uncle Lotzie, played by John Banner. You know him as Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. The show premiered September the 17th of 1971 and tried to create a sitcom from the violent world of Prohibition-era Chicago. But the tone was all wrong. The crushing blow came in the ratings. The series ranked number 70 out of 78 shows that season. Ouch. It lasted exactly 3 months, ending December the 10th after just 13 episodes. Dean Jones probably wished he'd stuck with Disney movies and Herbie the Love Bug. And poor John Banner. If you're trying to escape Hogan's Heroes typecasting, maybe don't play Sergeant Schultz's twin brother. We're halfway through our countdown of 1971's biggest TV disasters. If you're wondering how it gets worse from here, trust me, it does. Hit that like button if you're enjoying this journey through television's most spectacular failures. Number 4, The DA. At number 4, we have The DA, starring Robert Conrad as Paul Ryan, an idealistic deputy district attorney fighting crime and corruption in an unnamed big city. The show was created by Jack Webb of Dragnet fame and aimed to capture the gritty realism of the early 70s crime wave. The series premiered September the 17th, 1971, and should have been perfect timing. Cop shows were hot, and Robert Conrad was fresh off the Wild Wild West. But the show suffered from a major identity crisis. Was it a realistic crime drama or an action-adventure series? The scripts couldn't decide, and neither could viewers. Jack Webb's documentary style worked perfectly for Dragnet, but it felt heavy-handed here. Making matters worse, NBC put it on Friday nights, where it faced stiff competition and struggled to find an audience. Despite Robert Conrad's star power and Jack Webb's pedigree, ratings remained poor throughout its brief run. NBC quietly canceled it after 15 episodes on January the 7th of 1972, and it vanished without a trace. Number 3, Longstreet. Coming in at number 3 is Longstreet, a show that was actually quite ahead of its time. The series starred James Franciscus as Mike Longstreet an insurance investigator who loses his sight in an explosion that also kills his wife. Determined to continue his career, he teams up with his guide dog Pax and learns martial arts to fight crime. The show premiered September the 9th of 1971 and was genuinely progressive for its time, dealing seriously with disability issues. It even featured guest appearances by martial arts legend Bruce Lee. This should have been groundbreaking television. So, what went wrong? Longstreet never found a consistent audience. The premise was ahead of its time, but audiences weren't ready for a disabled action hero, no matter how well written the show was. On top of that, ABC constantly moved the show around the schedule, making it impossible for viewers to find. It aired on different nights and times throughout its run, killing any chance of building a loyal following. The show lasted 23 episodes until August the 10th of 1972. Number 2. Sarge. At number 2, we have Sarge, starring George Kennedy as Father Sam Cavanaugh, a San Diego police detective who becomes a Catholic priest but continues to solve crimes. It was part of the defective detective trend of the early 70s. George Kennedy was a respected character actor, fresh off his Oscar win for Cool Hand Luke, and the premise had potential. The show premiered September the 21st of 1971 and couldn't decide if it was a cop show or a religious drama. Episodes awkwardly bounced between violent crime scenes and spiritual counseling, which proved to be too confusing for viewers. The religious controversy didn't help either. Catholic organizations complained about the violent content, while crime show fans found the religious elements preachy and off-putting. The show pleased nobody and offended everyone. NBC quickly realized they had a disaster on their hands. After 16 episodes, they pulled the plug on January the 11th of 1972 and pretended it never happened. Even George Kennedy rarely mentioned it in later interviews, and that should tell you everything you need to know. And at number 1, Shirley's World. And now the biggest flop of 1971, Shirley's World. This was supposed to be ABC's prestige hit, starring Shirley MacLaine as a globe-trotting photojournalist for World Illustrated magazine. The show followed her adventures, reporting from exotic locations while getting involved in international intrigue. This should have been a guaranteed hit. Shirley MacLaine was a major movie star at the peak of her career. The show was filmed on location around the world, London, Hong Kong, Tokyo, with production values that rivaled feature films. It was ABC's most expensive series that year. The show premiered September the 15th of 1971 with sky-high expectations. But despite the star power, international locations, and massive budget, Shirley's World felt incredibly shallow. MacLaine seemed uncomfortable on television, and the scripts treated her like a tourist rather than a serious journalist. ABC reportedly lost millions on the series, making it not just a creative failure, but a financial catastrophe. The network was so confident they'd ordered a full season before filming began. When the show bombed spectacularly, they couldn't even sell the episodes to international markets. After 17 episodes, Shirley's World was canceled on January the 5th of 1972. MacLaine returned to movies and rarely spoke about the experience, and honestly, who could blame her? Some of these shows had promise, but 1971 was ruthless, and audiences didn't stick around for second chances. Which one surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and hit that like button if you enjoyed digging through 1971's biggest TV flops. And don't forget to subscribe for more of TV's nostalgic deep dives.